part 2. So pretty much continuing from where I left off, basically. That my schedule, I started getting the new diet full of all the healthy ass foods and shit. I was getting a lot healthier. I was getting super into like the motivational speakers and stuff. I would listen to that shit like every single morning almost. I would get into like lifting and all that. I was just changing all around. But as I said in the last part, my schedule pretty much was, and I started to do this by basically the end of November, early December. I was doing this like every single day. I'd wake up, I would do a mile or two run. And then I would go to school. I'd go to wrestling practice. And let me just say, wrestling, y'all, is hard as fuck. Other than running, obviously, because this is what I do the most sport, Wrestling is the second hardest sport I ever did. It was grueling, and you would just sweat and burn and die for like 3 hours, and it was horrible. So respect to any wrestlers out there. I'm not just saying that because I sucked ass. My record 7th grade year was like 3-12 or something. That was horrible. But either way, it's hard. So I would go to wrestling practice, and then I would go and I would do my homework and shit, whatever. I'd do whatever I had to do. And then at either, nothing earlier than like 11 p.m. Either 11 p.m., 12 a.m., sometimes even 1 in the morning, I would have to do like a running workout. I started figuring out how other teams practice and stuff, like high school teams, like what do they do? So I would start to, because I told you guys in the last part, cross-country practices were pretty much consisting of like nothing over 2 miles. So I started going for long runs of like 45 minutes or 5 miles or something like that. And like a 7:30 pace or something. Like I started out super slow because I would get more as I figured out like this is what I really want to be great at. I want to chase greatness. Like this is it for me. I started figuring stuff out like how to train and blah, blah. So I started out with slower times, slower paces. I started to get longer, like 30-minute long runs, 40 minutes, and then like I'd get to 45 or 50. Start out like 8:30 pace, and then I would get it down as the wrestling season went on to about like 7:30 by the end of it. Also, I figured out I would do, this is iconic for me, guys. This is pretty much like what I remember right away when I think of like my 7th grade running, okay? So what I would do, this is what I did. I can't even imagine the number of times I did this. So I started out one day on the treadmill. So the max speed it can go with 6 flat pace. So for a half mile, that's 3 minutes. I started out and end of November, whatever, I tried it out because I wanted to start doing workouts, not just like distances. Maybe like early December. So I tried this out. I just did one. Max speed on the treadmill, 1/2 mile, and I said, okay, I can do another one. So I took like a little break, and then I did another one, and I got up to 2, and I was gassed. Turns out I went back the next night, I got up to 3, then like the next week I got up to 4, the week after that I got up to 5. I would do that workout so many times, probably like 3 or 4 times a week, just 800 repeats, 800 half mile, same thing. I would just do these repeats, and by the end of it, by like February when wrestling was over and everything, I got up to like 9. I was able to do like 9 of them. And it was super cool because like by the end I was able to cruise like 5-mile runs. It was slow, yeah, like 7:30, but I was able to do it. Seeing as how like out of shape I was, or slow, whatever you want to call it, when I started wrestling, when I started getting all this like running seriously, and then seeing like how I could do all the half-mile repeats. I got up to 9. Starting out, I was like gassed after 2. It was cool to see like the progress because I worked I worked my ass off. I just fucking stuttered. I'm so sorry. I really did. I worked my ass off. Changed the diet, lifting, wrestling, everything. Eventually, track was finally here. Wrestling was over by February, and track started in about March, and I was super fucking excited. I had no idea how I was gonna like rank because I knew there was all these deities on my team. Plus people, because it's track now, both things are coming together, so there's going to be more people I didn't know. And, like, I didn't know how I was going to do, because before I was, like, the 16th guy, and then I worked my ass off, and then I started to get, like, better, so I didn't really know how I was going to go. I really didn't know anything about track. Like, sure, I was trying to figure out in my own mind, like, how to train, but I didn't know exactly that much about track itself, so. All I'm going to say is, basically, our practices would consist of, like, you would do a little warm-up, you get in the big circle and you do stretches, salute to the sun, if you know, you know. Also, pretty much, then you would go and do, like, different stride things, I don't even know what to call it, shoulder drop across the track, you do, like, high, knee, fast things, like, some you'd sprint, some you'd jog, and some you'd do longer strides, some you'd do shorter strides, some you'd have to fucking skip, some you'd do backwards and shoulder drops. I don't even know, like, how to describe it. You would do that for, like, half an hour, to an hour. I really don't know. I don't remember. You take, like, a 5-minute break, and then all the different events would split up. So you'd have the throwers go throw, we'd have the jumpers go jump, and the distance, because the highest event is, like, a mile, and the 800 guys, they would have to do laps around the hallways, okay? And our school was like a big old rectangle, so it was like a little bit of a 400 loop, just like of hallways. No one really did squat, I'm gonna be honest, like, because obviously who would then, you know, you're in junior high, it's like, whatever, we're gonna go walk the halls, epic, brother, oh my goodness. But, because, you know, I didn't really talk to anybody, I was still that quiet little, and, you know, I really just, like, I wanted to practice, I would just do it, and I would probably get a couple laps in, and then we would do the minute challenge, the iconic minute challenge. I just said minute. The iconic minute challenge. We'd all, when everyone was done practicing their own events, we'd go out onto this, like, concrete shitty ass track that we had. It was like less than 200 meters. You'd have a minute to go as far as you can across one time, and then you'd have to see where you ended the second time. And there was like different levels. I'm pretty sure I was like a level 2, 7th grade. Like, it was bad, y'all. I was just, but whatever. It was the iconic Homer Junior High minute challenge. You know what I'm saying? I had to mention that.
Our team would have a shit ton of meets. Like, he used to give out these big packets for every single meet, and at the beginning he gave out the schedule with all the meets on it, and my god, there was a lot of meets we had to go to, y'all. So there was a lot of times to, like, try out new things, because, you know, the coaches didn't know what to do with me, because I was just this irrelevant thing when the season started, and no one really knew what to do with me. So they kind of just threw me in all the different events. I did, like, hurdles in the practice. Sometimes I fucking failed, though. I never actually did hurdles. I did, like, the 4x1, the 400, the 100, the 200. Like, I would try all these different events, and nothing really stuck with me. But eventually, they got to put me in like a mile. I think like 5 meets in, or 6 meets in, whatever. Like, about halfway through, they put me in the mile. And I got to race who in cross country was the best 7th grader. He was like our 3rd guy or 4th guy. And he was a super good 7th grader. And I beat him in the mile with a time of 6:09, which was honestly cool to me because, you know, I ran like a 7:37 before, like, not doing any running that last summer. And then, you know, to get to like a 6:09, and I beat like the iconic little dude. It was cool to me, you know? It was like, whoa, work actually does shit. Fantastic. So that happened, and then they're like, okay, so this is a distance kid. You know, they kind of just ignore me when I win the halls, I guess. And then, I don't even know how it happened. They put me in an 800, and I ran like the fastest 7th grade 800 time for like, well, out of the team. Not like fucking history. Jesus Christ. And it was like, that was cool to me, because I'm like, wow, I'm number 1 at something. Look at me, guys. Woo. But why I'm saying that is because that, for ever since I did that first 800, like, halfway through the season, that was the event that they put me in, like, every single meet. Like, I was just, like, because no one else really wanted to do the 800, that was pretty much why I was number 1. I ain't even gonna lie. Nobody wanted to do the 800, because it's like, whoa. Like, when you're in junior high, it's like, 2 laps? Freaking heck, bro. Like, oh my god. So, there wasn't that many people that did the 800, so, you know, they're like, alright, well, this is the number 1 guy, I guess. It was, like, me and Russell, pretty much. Me and Russell were pretty much the 2 closest together there. Like, we would kind of just, like, he'd win one, I'd win one, and it was kind of like this little rivalry thing we had going on there. And yeah, so the 800 was pretty much my event in junior high, which is funny because now in high school it is not my event. It is the worst thing that I could do. But it's funny because back then, you know, the 800 was like my thing, you know. I started out like I was in like the 240s, and then I got to like a 242 before sectionals. So for sectionals, I must mention also, I was a thrower the whole season. I'm just adding this in because, like, it happened. I was the, like, 2nd best 7th grade discus thrower, and again, the only reason was because there was not many people that did, like, in 7th grade, there wasn't that many people that did the discus. I somehow was, like, the 2nd best on the team for the 7th graders, so I made it to sectionals for it. I know, guys, I was, like, 1 place from a ribbon, too. I really don't understand, but basically getting to sectionals. Okay, so sectionals, it came down, it was me and Russell, okay? And for sectionals, and basically what happened was, we were, like, warming up and shit, and I was, like, on the track, you know. And Russell, I gotta give a shout-out, because I mentioned in the last part how Russell was, like, the one person I talked to throughout the entire 7th grade year. Russell also, towards, like, when track started, he was introducing me to a lot of his friends, like, who did track and stuff, so he was getting me to come out of my shell, and ultimately, he pretty much was the reason that I started to break out of my shell. It pretty much was because of him. He kind of gave me the confidence, like, this dude's super cool, guys, and he's all quiet, so, like, let's talk to him. And then, you know, they would talk to me with him, and then, like, it would be, like, it really, by the end of the season, like, I was pretty much, like, out there, like, not all the way my fruity self, you know, like, all the way out. I wasn't this hyperactive thing yet, but, like, I really did, like, I was starting to talk to people, and it was thanks to him, so, like, you gotta shout it out. But mentioning Russell, it was me and him for sectionals, and, he came up to me as I'm, like, stretching, so he's like, you know, I had a dream last night, Devon, people call me Devon, I think he said Donovan at the time, I don't know. And he's like, I had a dream last night, and it was me and you, and we both were sprinting down the last 100 together next to each other, and we shoulder dropped, and we got 1st and 2nd. So let's go make that dream happen. You know, and I'm like, all right, let's fucking do it. We were put in the first of the 2 heats, and we're like halfway through the pack, and we're in that final stretch, man. And sectionals, yo, I was so hyped. Like the night before, I remember I was listening to all this like motivational music shit. I was literally, I think I cried. I either cried or I was about to cry because I was getting so like anxious because I'm like, holy shit, it's sectionals. I didn't even think I was gonna be able to get here, you know, and I was super like emotional and shit. I don't know what, like not like emotional, but I was super anxious. I'd say, like, cause I'm like I was freaking out, you know. It was just a lot of hype to me. So when the race was coming, you know, I was like halfway through the pack, and then Russell, as I'm crossing that last 100, I didn't see him the horse, and he comes up next to me, and we're sprinting down the last 100, and then he says 3, 2, 1 as we're about to finish, and then we both shoulder dropped at the same time. The dream came true, except we didn't get first or second. We got like third and fourth in our heat, and like 11th and 12th overall. But like the dream, it was iconic. And honestly, I could say that like I've had plenty of races, but that is definitely like one of my favorites. Like me and Russell at that sectional 7th grade year, you know, it was a good time. Also, I cannot mention, you know, the discus. Oh my, okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. Honestly, that was pretty much the end of track. You know, I also must mention because of the schedule, I kept my diet up, but because, you know, track was more running, I wouldn't go, I'd say like some of the times, there'd be times where I came like at 11 p.m. 1 in the morning, wherever I said, I would do another running workout. But since, you know, it was track and we were doing mostly running, I didn't do it as much. I'd say like 25% or 50% of what I did from wrestling, I did in track because there was more running and shit. And then sometimes I'd wake up in the morning, sometimes and do like running, extra running. Sometimes I wouldn't, you know, because obviously I didn't want to die. But I was also, man, I was obsessed with it. So there were a bunch of times where I did do it, you know. And you know, I finished that season, and like that was pretty much it for me. I was so glad that I really like discovered this thing. And again, like I was like a 239 800 guy. I was like a 609 miler in that 7th grade, like. And it wasn't fast. Like I wasn't fast, but like I wasn't some fucking god or whatever. Like I wasn't good at all, but I still felt like I finally like found something. I'm like, okay, you know what? Like first year out, like this is it for me. Like this is what I'm going to choose to do. Like I sucked ass at everything else, but like I got a good feeling. You know, this is it for me. And that was pretty much it. You know, I fully like broke out of my shell. I was super obsessed with this. Like I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna be great at, and I'm gonna go get this. I was like fully like motivated. It was a step in the right path. You know what I'm saying? After like this is the year like I finally figured out what all this running shit is. Finally found like what I'm going to do, and I did it. Maybe I'll explain what happens in 8th grade. Maybe I won't. If this gets a lot of likes, not like double tap. I mean like if people enjoy this video, maybe it gets like views or whatever. I might make further explain in 8th grade or whatever, but probably not. But that was pretty much it, guys. That was how I got into running. That was my first year. If y'all enjoyed, thanks a bunch. If y'all didn't, understandable. I'm fruity and annoying. But thank y'all so very much for watching. It's Devon. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see y'all next time. I don't know how to snap, but see y'all next time.